Imagine, if you will, a collaborative environment created around intelligent, high-fidelity 3D digital models of existing and proposed infrastructure. Our next guest joins us to talk about digital cities. He's the Senior Director and Industry Evangelist, says that right on his business cards, of Autodesk Digital Cities, Doug Eberhard. Doug, welcome into Tomorrow. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. Aren't our cities already kind of digital cities? We've got, everything from the high-speed cell phone capability and data connections, and we've got all these cool things that we can do, and of course, high-speed internet at home. And one would think, well, wouldn't that make them digital cities? But I think you mean a different kind of digital city.
Yes, we do. In fact, digital city traditionally referred to those sort of wired cities, but digital cities is really about bringing together all the detailed, accurate modeling information, mapping information, utility information into these accurate city models, very much like you see on Google Earth, where you can go to a particular city.
Sure.
The only difference is, though, that they don't have the accuracy. They're out there in the public domain, where if you look at city agencies who really need to better plan and execute on future design, they need accurate, accountable information that's really coming from within their departments. So digital cities is Autodesk vision to provide the tools and the platform for cities to be able to aggregate that information and then to be able to share that both internally with different departments as well as externally with the public.
Sure, I would imagine everything from assistance with their infrastructure and other plans, but I could also see this as assisting GPS companies. Would you make this available to them, or?
Well, and so if you go to Berlin, for example, on Google Earth today,
yeah,
you see this texture map 3D model that can be used for some of those purposes. That was actually produced with Autodesk Land Explorer software. And so the production of the city model is the part that we're really focused on, whereas the distribution and use after the fact, can be used in the public domain, as you mentioned, for GPS. But primarily we're focused on governments that need to stimulate economic development and growth within their cities. And they need to attract businesses. They need to be able to execute on those plans. And if you look at traditional cities, I mean, recognizing we're here in Las Vegas, where
you can go up and down the strip virtually.
Yeah, well, and maybe Las Vegas isn't the most realistic city in the world in terms of development. But it takes many times 10 to 20 years to develop large-scale transportation projects. You've got to acquire right-of-way. You've got to do a lot of planning very, very early in the process. And so digital cities is really about letting people see exactly what projects will look like, being able to understand those much earlier in the process amongst a variety of stakeholders, from politicians and agencies and designers and developers. And so it really provides this virtual model for everyone to congregate around, to understand and to be able to execute much faster and make earlier decisions in the process so that they can execute on those projects downstream.
And I was amazed at how accurate it is as well, because, for example, you mentioned the Berlin situation, and since we do our show every year for, what, 6-7 years now, here you were flying through the Brandenburg Gate and on up the various roads and making turns, and it's like that's exactly as we see it every year when we're there.
Well, and so, of course, Autodesk is really the world leader in 2D and 3D design software. And so most agencies and designers are already using our tools to create the sort of CAD drawings and base maps and now these 3D models. So Digital Cities really provides the ability to bring all that together and really retain that rich and detailed, accurate information that you don't get with the Google Earth types of tools that are out there.
How long have you been doing it? And for that matter, what are some of the latest cities that you've done this with?
Well, in fact, AU this year marks my one-year anniversary at Autodesk.
Well, welcome. Happy anniversary.
Thank you, thank you. And so I spent 20 years prior to that, actually started my own visualization company about 20 years ago, and have been doing infrastructure modeling and visualization for projects around the world. And so kind of had to do it the old school or the hard way.
Yeah.
But now that technology's come up to speed now, it's becoming much easier once, as I say, once you have your digital house in order and you have all your information coordinated, it's very easy to bring that together to provide different models. And so we have two cities that we've signed up in pilot agreements with. One is Salzburg, Austria, and the other one is Incheon. And the interesting thing there is Salzburg's a very mature, established, older city where they've got to look at how to evolve their building designs and infrastructure using these models for better collaborative decision making. whereas in Incheon, China, or I'm sorry, Incheon, Korea, there is no city there. And so they've got to go from zero to city in 10 years.
Literally from the ground up, you're helping them design.
Yeah, and so really digital cities can provide that gambit of entirely new development, being able to see that, experience it before it's real, and yet for the older established cities, especially in Europe where they have noise ordinances and right-to-light issues, and they're actually more advanced than we are here in the U.S. in terms of requiring models to be developed and shared not only with citizens, but amongst the various agencies.
And of course, I'm imagining some of our listeners thinking in terms of, well, why don't you just go and take pictures or videotape, go down the street, kind of like Google Maps does a lot of times as well. And maybe there is some element to that as well, but now when you're talking about changing infrastructure, well, what are you going to take a picture of? It's not there yet.
Exactly. And of course, in video and photography are great ways to capture an existing environment, but inevitably, when you want to incorporate that design information, to be able to view it from any point of view or point in time, you really need that sustainable 3D model that goes well beyond sort of fixed images or videos. Wow.
Well, very cool, Doug. I can see why Autodesk snapped you up a year ago and why you're still with them. A lot of neat things going on. Autodesk.com/digital cities to see what Doug and his folks are up to. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us here at Autodesk University.
Thank you, Dave.
We're back with more from Las Vegas. I'm Dave Graveline. This is Into Tomorrow on the Advanced Media Network.